Hello, everyone. Today I'll be talking about the very basics of Flutter for beginners. Anyone here is coding with Flutter until today? Quite a few, all right. So, what is Flutter? It is an open source front-end framework by Google, and it uses the language Dart. And the most beautiful thing about Flutter is there's one single code base for 6 platforms, including iOS and Android mobile, and the website and the desktop application. I'll just briefly go through some of the history. In 2011, Google announced Dart programming language.
I'm not sure if you're sharing.
I think it's sharing, yeah. Yeah, this is Zoom. Thank you. Is this sharing? Sorry? Is this screen sharing or is it just a camera? Oh yeah, it's sharing. It says stop sharing. Yeah. So,
It's fine.
Yeah. And then it took them 4 years to release Dart beta. And then 3 years later, Flutter 1 was released to the public for everyone to use. Now, initially, it only supported Android and iOS mobile. And because it was new at the time, there was a lot of issues with it. You know, a lot of people didn't really like Flutter and quit. But there has been a lot of improvements over the years until 2021, which is 2 years ago, when they released Flutter 2, and they also released web support. And there's a lot of updates, but the one I'd like to highlight is Dart null safety, because it did a significant change in Flutter. So before, your app would crash for no reason, and most of it would be null-related. And now your Flutter app would pinpoint you where the issue is. And then by this year, over 1 million Flutter apps were released in the App Store. And they also released Flutter version 3. So you can see how quickly it's developing. And Flutter 3 is amazing. There's a lot of changes to it, including sound null safety and game toolkits, new designs, which they call Material 3, and improved performance and security. So the performance, there's something called Impeller Render Engine. And at the moment, it's just working for iOS, but they're working on releasing it on Android as well. So anyone who tried Flutter before 2021 did not really experience the good part about Flutter. So it's improved a lot. All right, so I'd like to talk a bit about null safety, because this changed everything. So you explicitly mark variables as nullable. It helps avoid non-related errors, and it eliminates bugs, crashes, and errors caused by null values. It makes your code safer, faster, and easier to maintain. I'll give you an example here. So before null safety, you define a variable, say string nickname. And let's say you get nickname through, let's say you have a function that gets the nickname from your database or something. And then you have a function to print the nickname. But the issue is, if nickname was null, let's say your backend was off or something, your app would crash. So the workaround of it would be to say, if nickname is not null, then print nickname. But if you have like thousands of variables and pages, and your app starts crashing, you wouldn't know which one it is, what's happening. So there's no compile time error, but there's runtime error. Unhappy client, unhappy developer. Now after null, you are forced to give your variable a value. And if you really want to use null, you have to specify. So you'd add a question mark next to the string type, the variable type, and then in any function, you have to add an exclamation mark. That way, if nickname comes as null, Flutter will pinpoint you and say, this variable is null, it shouldn't be null. Okay. So why learn Flutter? You're basically equivalent to 6 other developers, front end at least. So you save time and money. You use single code base for 6 platforms, so that means smaller teams and reduces development and maintenance costs. It's incredibly fast to develop with, and it has a function called hot reload, which allows you to see changes in your app almost immediately. So also, it takes less effort because it's very quick to learn. I'd say it would take like a month to know Flutter pretty well. And it simplifies UI development, especially animations. It makes animations very easy. There's plenty of resources out there. You know, it has a vibrant and supportive community, and you get access to a rich set of pre-built widgets and open source code. And finally, it's modern. So it's always good to stay up to date with modern technology. So it's also quickly growing, and it has a great performance, which provides greater developer experience. And there's a lot of opportunities coming up in the future, I believe. I believe it will be the next big thing. And yeah. These are some unicorn companies who are using Flutter at the moment. So NU Bank is a very popular bank in Latin America, and they've moved all their code into Flutter. Etsy is a big shopping, like an eBay thing. They're all in Flutter, and ByteDance is the same company that created TikTok. Now TikTok is not in Flutter, but all their new projects are in Flutter now. There's some other examples. So first of all, learn what widgets. Everything in Flutter is about widgets. And then use libraries, understand null safety, learn state management, use open source codes, and then use linting and snippets. I'll briefly go through each one of it, but in today's presentation, I'll mainly focus on widgets because that's Flutter is all about widgets. So what are widgets? They are fundamental building blocks for creating user interfaces. Everything you see on a screen are composed of widgets. They are lightweight, reusable, and composable, making it easy to create complex UIs by combining simpler widgets. I'll do a quick example here. Anyone here can guess what widgets are used in this app? You know what widgets are? Text field, app bar, image. Yep.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And this is all it takes to create an app. You guys just created an app in a very short time. And then some of these widgets would be in a column widget to arrange it. And then overall is a scaffold, which is just the view. I'd like to show you a practical example. So I have here an iPhone simulator. I'm going to open my Android simulator. And this is the code that of the example that you've seen. So here I have a stateful widget. And this is where the body is. So this whole code is just 51 line of code. And I have here all the widgets. So image, text field, text button, and list view. And I'm going to do Flutter run. D for devices, and then all. And I'm trying to show you here how it is cross-platform, how one single code base works in 6 different platforms. So if you just give it a minute to load up. Here's Android. And then iPhone. And then a Mac desktop application. So there's no difference. You don't have to adjust the code for any different platform. I'll show you the website as well. I will use the Android Studio tool. Oh, sorry. And this is the website, localhost. So same code, same design. And it's functional. If you just add anything, it's functional. Now, another beautiful thing about Flutter is the hot reload function, where it shows you changes instantly. So you don't have to wait for it to load up again. So I'll show you an example. Let's say I'm going to copy paste these and add some more of it. And now all I have to do is do the hot restart. It says R for hot reload. So all I'm going to do is press R, and you see the changes instantly. And let's say you have bigger changes, you want to add animations and variables, you can do the hot restart to see the changes instantly. I have a preset code. So let's say you have big changes in your app. Not instantly, but almost. Very quick. So it says it took 5,000 milliseconds. 5 seconds. Usually it's quicker, depends on your internet and stuff. But it's just amazing how quickly it can be. Moving on. So if anyone's interested, here's a huge list of widgets to learn. May look a lot, but once you get familiar with most of these, you can pretty much build any app you can think of. So, yep. You should also use packages in your project. So packages or libraries, they are pre-written code and components for complex functions and features. So this helps you reduce development time and effort, increase maintainability, and you can contribute on other people's projects. And this is the website where you find libraries. So if there's a widget you're trying to look for and it's not there, you can look for libraries instead. Here are some packages examples. So some of the most popular ones is shared preference, and what it does is it saves valuables in your local app. HTTP for any backend request, and yeah, there's plenty of packages out there to make your app really beautiful. State management is also very important. And these are multiple state management. You just need to choose one of them, really. The top 4 are the most popular ones. And what they do is they save variables across the whole app, so you can access it from anywhere. I won't go much into this today, but it's a must-have to build any Flutter app. And you can use source code. There's so many source codes out there. It helps you build apps really quickly. It helps you learn how to design your app to make it pretty. So these are just some examples from the website. They all lead to GitHub. If it's not GitHub, I wouldn't say you can trust it. So yeah, and that's pretty much it. Anyone? Does anyone have any questions?
How would you compare that to Compose? It looks very much like sort of being composed into
So what's composed?
Jetpack Compose. It's yeah, it's virtually this sort of thing, but it's
Okay.
using Kotlin as a base, code base.
Okay. Is it like coding or?
Yes,
Okay.
does exactly that sort of stuff.
Well, it compares that this one is for multi-platform.
Yes, I did.
So,
Jetpack Compose.
oh, is it? Okay.
Big one. It can do all of those. iOS, Android, desktop, all that stuff.
I guess it's all on language preference.
I
in this
think,
case.
yeah, I think Jetpack Compose is released after like maybe 1 or 2 years, at least after Flutter.
Yeah.
So some people say they are copying Flutter, but then they don't agree. So, but I think Flutter did that first, I would say.
Yeah, I just like the Kotlin language very much.
Yeah, sure. I think, yeah, so I think like Flutter isn't the only framework that can do multiple platforms. So yeah, Kotlin and there are other like frameworks. So like all these frameworks have their own pros and cons. So yeah, you choose whatever that works for you.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Is there anything you don't like about Flutter?
Good question. Well, I'm new to the IT development part, so Flutter is the only language that I really spent a lot of time on. So I can't really compare with other languages.
This is something that when you're trying to get set up Flutter,
Probably the backend more. In terms of frontend, yeah, Flutter is just frontend, so there's no issues really. Everything, there's so many sources out there, so if you have any questions, there's plenty of sources to help you achieve things.
With Compose, you can actually use Kotlin in the back end as well as phones.
Okay.
With Flutter, you use Dart for front end and Dart for back end as well. Carson?
it's like performance improvement for you training out and see
The performance?
differences. You said they have a new red version.
Yeah. I haven't tried it, but you only see the difference on bigger projects. But even before the impeller, it's still been very quickly, so you can barely see changes. Unless you have a really big project. Then,
Maybe things like change first code. Because in the past it was compiled the shader on the fly. And then change that. So that so in free they pretty mild.
any other questions?
Okay, so just on the question like Matt asked, so I did like a presentation on Flutter just last weekend. Emailed
You
me.
don't like it.
Huh?
You don't.
Yeah. So there are two things I think like cons of Flutter. One thing is that the Flutter apps are bigger because they have to. They don't use the native components, so they have to like have the code in the app. So that's why Flutter apps are normally bigger, which can be an issue for, say, developing countries or any other places. And the biggest issue is that there aren't like a lot of SDKs for Flutter. So you may have the SDK on Android and iOS, but you don't have it for Flutter. So that's, to me, that's the biggest issue.
Yeah. When you said it's bigger, like what scale bigger is it like?
I think 30
megs like 300 or
I don't have, say, the statistics to back me up, but I think where with a native app, it can be super small, but then I think the Flutter app is normally it's like, say, 5 MB or 6 MB, but with native Android, I think I had something like 1 or 2 MB. So I would say the Flutter is at least like 1/3 bigger. It can be much bigger.
I remember stats saying the Flutter sometimes 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They have a question.
So, like from an IoT perspective, right, do you see Flutter apps being used to interact with the machine sensors, or is it more towards like this front and back end? Is it being used in like any IoT related project?
I think Flutter is mainly used for apps. So anywhere when there is a display, you can use Flutter.
I'm gonna get into IoT classes.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure why, because it's like that's not what I can tell, but it's not at a very high level that we have it's like higher level. But yeah, they want to get into IoT embedded.
Because I'm doing a module on Android dev, right? And there's always the comparison between like languages that compile to native and like the actual Android language. Because if you're doing Android directly, trying to access like the mobile phone geolocation, or like some beacon sensor, proximity sensor, it's much easier to develop. So I was just wondering whether like how is it with Flutter?
Yeah, I think you should be able to use it for IoT. Then you don't have to. It depends on the knowledge and the experience you have.
Actually, the same screens, and it's also the same for the whole platform. So even for but for example, for some kind of pay application, they require to follow a platform guidelines. How the toolbars looks like, how the navigation looks like, how to do how to apply for.
You can use an if else statement to say if the device is a desktop, then show this kind of widget, a different build, or if it's a mobile device, then a different widget. So,
We have themes and basically set up for levels. Say this is my theme for Android, this is my theme for iOS. But like for structural things that are more common in one than the other, like before. But yeah, in terms of what colors that should be probably an issue.
Yeah, so Flutter has like components for material design and also for Cupertino. So most of the time they use the same components that looks good on any platform. You can choose platform specific components. Yeah.